But let's just say you have your, your basic arm. You got your deltoid, your tricep, your bicep into your elbow, right? Brachioradialis here, right? There's your ulna down into your hand, something basic like this, okay? This basic understanding. So now for sake of designing it, now you just want to really design the anatomical forms, okay, for that matter. Whereas this kind of just is arbitrarily drawn. I want you to think how you put your shapes together, okay? So let's say I put a straight in the front deltoid, right? And I'll put a curve in the back side. And if there's a straight here to follow that rhythm, maybe I'll get a straight for the tricep. Flow it into the elbow, if anything. And I have these straights kind of scallop sides, so maybe this side I'll curve it. And then I have a straight still right here, so then I'll curve this side. Maybe I'll give a little hook for where the ulna is, okay, and a break where it goes into that kind of pad of the hand. And design the fingers in terms of just hitting where the plane changes are, hitting some hards where the knuckles are, okay, some softs on the inside, kind of more roundish forms. Go back and add some interesting details, maybe where the knuckles are, but attaching them to some other form so they're not just floating details. This is what I mean by really designing your forms, okay? And I like to use hooks a lot, so maybe if I'm dealing with with another angle, the form, my choices will change, right? Let's say it's kind of coming at me a little bit more, all right? Maybe this is my deltoid here on the outside. Maybe I'll use more of a straight here for the bicep. I'll curve it in to kind of get that little indentation you get between your bicep and your lower forearm extensors and flexors. I'll give a straight here on the side for the tricep, right? Maybe I'll kind of cheat the curve, roll those extensor muscles this way, right? Which is representing like this area right here, just over here. How could you do it from the back even? Now things change because this is where you have to really understand your anatomy, understand where your overlaps are. Where before, from the other angles, I'm overlapping the deltoid, on top of the tricep or over the bicep right here. Over here in the back, the tricep is actually the one that would be in front. Deltoid hangs it over, but we're going to get this kind of follow-through line here, right? Maybe I would kind of get that fork look of the actual tricep in there. I always like to use hooks for when there's those kind of plantar pads of the hand. And this would be like some sort of plane change here, right? Oops. Just don't like how thick this line is right here. And I mean, this idea, carries on throughout whatever you're doing when you're getting into the foot. Really design those toes, Don't just kind of arbitrarily draw them in. Get some sort of design element to them. Actually, it's a bad start there. Sometimes, it starts with like a mitt or just an easy kind of generic shape, and then go back in and chunk it out. Not the best foot in the world, but you can kind of see where I'm going with it. Even if it's from the rear, you kind of see how I'm actually really trying to think about the different areas of the realistic form of the foot, but design them. Right? Let's say I'm dealing with like a skinny leg. Okay, I still want to give it some sort of muscle, if anything. So let's just say it's slightly bent into the foot here. Well, I want to give the top of those thigh muscles, into maybe get a nice point for where the knee is, the patella, right? Maybe get a straight in the back here, down to a nice curve. Keep this kind of really streamlined here. Maybe give an overlap of the ankle bone in the back. But there's a definite design to it. There's a specific arrangement of my elements, of shapes and my lines that I'm choosing, and it's all representative of the realistic anatomy. Okay, so take all this stuff in consideration when working on your own characters. You're getting into really designing more intricate forms. You don't want to just, where this is just like a drawing, you kind of want to avoid something like that. This is what you want to save for your studies and your fundamentals. When dealing with your characters or specific illustration, you want to really try to design it, okay, if anything. Okay.